Colleagues, it's 9 o'clock, so I would like to formally open the Standing Committee on Police Oversight, Community Safety, Cultural and Affairs and Sport. Welcome to our legal advisors, the department, the members here and our procedural support staff. I'm going to, as is the practice, ask people to introduce themselves into the record of the meeting. So if I can start there with Member Gwensu on my left-hand side, and we'll work around this way.
Thank you very much. My name is Benson Renzo, as a member of this committee. Renzo is NGQ ENTSU. Kwenzo is NG Kwenzo. What? But I don't know how to even spell that one. I'm not Kwenzo. I'm Renzo. Thank you very much.
Good morning, Chairperson, and good morning to our learned friends. I'm Memory Boyson, a member of this committee.
Hello, everyone. I'm Benedicta van Minnen, a member of this committee, and I think I might revert to my maiden name of McNaught Davis, just to see how everybody deals with that.
I'm Thomas Walters, chairperson of the committee. I'm also, incidentally, have a combination of English and Afrikaans names. It can really get confusing if I have to be about the pronunciation. Having said that, I will continue to endeavour to, given the nature of this committee, to get it right, even if it takes us a while. Over to my right-hand side.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. The name is Tanya Faber, and I'm from Legal Services, and I'm with Shanaz. Thank you.
Good morning, members and colleagues. I'm Shanaz Seria. That's Syria, not as in the country, but just Syria, S-E-R-I-A, and yes, Department of the Premier, Legal Services.
Good morning, everyone. Cecilia Sani with the Department of Cultural Affairs and Sport, Library Service.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Carol van Wyk, Chief Director, Cultural Affairs and Sport. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. My name is Carmen Lucas, and I'm with the Cultural Affairs and Sport Library Service.
Morning, everyone. I'm Peter Rigo. I'm with Library Service. And I'm Peter, not Peter, and Hugo, not Hugo.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Ben Daza. I'm the Senior Procedural Officer for the Standing Committee.
Good morning, Chair and everyone else. My name is Romeo. My surname is Maasdorp. I'm legal advisor for Provincial Parliament. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Colleagues, the context of, just to sketch the context of the meeting here, we're going to, as you all... Oh, sorry, online members, my apologies, Member Kaiser Philander. That's a member I do not want to cross. So over to you.
Thank you, Chairperson. Good morning, Chair, honourable members and all officials. My name is Wendy Kaiser Philander, and I'm a member of this committee. Thank you, Chair.
Are there any other members online? Okay, so we've read in the members that are present. We have a quorum, so we'll proceed. So just to sketch the context of the meeting, as you are aware, we had a bill being brought to the committee. So we got briefed on the bill, so we are familiar with the content already. We had the public hearing process, so we have a sense of what the various stakeholders feel. Then what we are going to be doing today is, well, we're first going to get briefed by it informally, clause by clause, so that we again refresh our memories, also now with the benefit of the public hearings and the inputs from our stakeholders that we've had. So we're going to go through it to fully understand every clause there. So it's going to be clause by clause. after which we're going to consider as the committee a formal motion of desirability. This is where things get formal. This is where we formally decide to consider that we're going to be formally considering the bill, and then we're going to go through it formally clause by clause. I've been very well briefed, but in case there is anything I miss, I'm going to, of course, rely on our procedural support and legal advisors as well. And colleagues, and then we will end off with a committee report, which then also is a formal referral to the House. And then after that, it's in the hands of programming and it's out of the hands of the committee. But maybe in anticipation, if I can thank all the committees, we knew this was a fairly urgent bill. And I would like to thank all the committees, committee members for their prompt and enthusiastic contribution and the cooperation that we've had. I also see Member Kasim has joined us. Member Kasim, if you can perhaps read yourself into the record as well. Introduce yourself.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Greeting to you, to the members, and to the members of the officials of the department as well. Member Aisha Kasim is online as well. Thank you, Chair.
Hey, thank you very much. Right, so now I'm going to be tabling, as I said, this is the informal first stage. I would like to table the bill, and we're going to go through it clause by clause. So we're not at the formal part yet, but I'm tabling it for the consideration of the committee. I just wanted to check to you, oh yes, we have let's just see whether that's clear to everyone there. All right, I know it's at a later stage. I'm going to refer to it again formally when we get to the formal stage. But there, of course, you have the formal title of the bill in bold at the top. And then, sorry, Member van Midden.
Sorry if I'm being pedantic. Just a question of clarity, and I probably should have asked this before. In the Western Cape Provincial Parliament, do we automatically only do the English? Do we do the English to Afrikaans? How does it work in terms of which is the official formalized bill? Because I mean, I know in National Parliament, it depends on which one is signed by the president. That then becomes the actual. How does it work here? Do we know? Sorry to ask it.
The sort of default language. I can't remember what the exact term is. Perhaps our legal advisor can just come in here.
My understanding is that English is the default medium for purposes of lawmaking. My colleague in procedural services can either confirm or contest that.
Agreed, Chairperson. I concur with you.
Oh, that's my understanding as well, but I think we can then proceed on that basis. You're satisfied, Member van Midden? Right, so we were at, there's the overall, you will see in bold, the overall, we'll call it the extended name, is the correct long title. Correct term is the long title there, and then clause 1. Colleagues, are there any questions of clarity, any matters that members want to raise on clause 1? It's the clause referring to definitions.
We're happy, Chair.
Okay, happiness, nobody online. Right, we're going to go to clause 2, powers and functions of the provincial minister. Clause 2, members, are there any issues or points of clarity that you want to raise around clause 2?
We're happy, Chairperson.
Any of the members online? Any hands
In order, Chair.
Colleagues, then we were moving to clause 3, the functions of head of department. Clause 3. It's a little bit longer. what's going on to the next page. So I'll give a little bit more time. Colleagues, any questions of clarity, any issues you want to raise on clause 3?
It's all clear, Chairperson.
Any of the members online?
In order,
No.
Chair.
No, see no hands there. Then we're moving to clause 4, registration of public libraries. Any issues, anything that any member wants to raise, any points of clarity that needs to be asked?
It's clear cut, Chairperson.
Members online? Okay, a member, I'm going to try again, Gwensu.
That's English pronunciation.
No, we'll work on it.
No, I am not sure, Chair, whether shouldn't we adopt a principle that says whoever who picked up any matter should raise a hand instead of going page by page or clause by clause. In the best interest of time, I assume that whoever might have picked up something will raise it.
I appreciate the suggestion, but we have to do it clause by clause in terms of the process. So it's, in that sense, we are bound. Colleagues, so clause 4, we've looked at that. Then the next clause, clause 5, assignment of functions to municipal councils. Any issues that members want to raise there or questions that members have on clause 5?
We are covered, Chair.
Any of the members online?
Covered, Chair.
See no hands there as well. Thank you. Then clause 6, functions of public library administrators. Any questions, any issues, anything that members want to raise with clause 6?
We are satisfied, Chair.
Online, the members online. Okay, I don't see any hands there. Then we're moving to clause 7, admission and charges, clause 7. Any issues that members or questions that members have on clause 7?
I'm earning my salary, Chair. We are happy there.
Clearly, you're the informal spokesperson. Online, let me see on that. I also don't see hands there.
In order, Chair.
So let's go to closure of public libraries, clause 8.
Thank you very much, Chair. I just need clarity. I think I raised this point also some time ago. It appears to me that consultation or communication is within. Why so? Why perhaps the users or the public is they not talk about them in terms of notices? Thanks, Chair.
Perhaps well, could I ask your legal advisor and the department to respond to that query?
Thank you very much. Yes, we have been through this. It was raised at the departmental briefing, as I recall. And I recall that in answer to your question, I indicated that, yes, the function in question, I think we're talking about subclause 3, Chair, where it states that, I'll just read the clause. If a public library administrator intends to close a public library permanently, it must give the provincial minister written notice of its intention to do so with the reasons for the intended closure at least 90 days before the date of the intended closure. And the question was, should notice not then be given to members of the public that the library is going to be closed? Yes, in my view, notice should be given to members of the public. However, the insertion of such a requirement into the bill is not in and of itself a necessary requirement for purposes of the bill. I say this because we have, as you know, legislation, namely the Promotion of Administrative Justice Act and its attendant regulations. And the regulations in question are the regulations on fair administrative procedures. And in that legislation, it is spelled out the requirements that must be followed when an administrator takes administrative action that materially and adversely affects the rights of members of the public. I would submit that the closure of a public library is an action that would materially and adversely affect the rights of members of the public. So we have independent statute regulating that, the requirements that must be followed when that type of action is taken. Therefore, we do not need to insert that into our bill. There's also case law to the effect that a statute need not contain references to the Promotion of Administrative Justice Act because it's already provided for independently of this legislation. I can refer the committee to the case in question. The case in question is Zondi versus the NEC for Traditional and Local Government Affairs, 2005, Volume 3, South African Law Reports, 589. It's a decision of the Constitutional Court. And the relevant paragraph there is paragraph 101. So that is the state of play of our law at the moment. I submit accordingly. So I think I would submit that the clause is in order, Chair, that we do not refer to. We do not need to put that requirement in. Also, I would like to mention that in the comments that the department received on the bill that was published for comment in August last year, the municipalities, I can't remember the name of the municipality in question, but the municipalities were saying that the requirements for closure were too onerous. And therefore, we amended the bill and simplified the requirements to make it easier for the municipalities to comply with the minimum requirement of informing the provincial department that they intended to permanently close. And we've only set out two requirements, that within 90 days, please give the department written notice and indicate the reasons for permanent closure. But yes, remember the municipality must follow their own process in terms of the Promotion of Administrative Justice Act and the regulations. They may follow a notice and comment procedure. They can indicate to the public that they are intending to close the public library. They must indicate a reasonable period within which comments must be submitted on the closure, and they must follow the rules in the regulations there. They may also hold a public inquiry, but in my view, that might be they must decide what is the appropriate procedure to follow. But we don't need to indicate that in this bill, with respect.
Any additions you want to make? Okay, member, are you satisfied with the explanation?
No, noted, Chair. It was raised within the context of deepening democracy.
I do not see any hands. Clause 9, delegation. Any questions or inputs on Clause 9, delegation?
We're happy with that, Chairperson.
Any online? Anyone online? I see no hands there. Then clause 10, regulations. Any inputs or comments on that? I do not see any hands.
I'm making up for being sick, Chairperson, so we go with this.
Okay. Anyone online? Then clause 11. Does anyone have a concern with repeal clause 11? The ordinances repeal that clause. Member van Manen?
Member Boyson is happy.
Anyone online? See no hands there. Then we're going to go to clause 12, transitional provisions. This clause 12, any inputs or questions there?
We're happy, Chairperson.
See no hands here. Online, I also do not see any hands. Then clause 13, was that the hand going up from you, Mr. Okay. Then on clause 13, the short title and commencement. Clause 13, any inputs there?
It is shorter than a long title, Chairperson. We accept it.
Now, I see no hands online. Right. Then the next step would be to, and this is where I'm going to just, I want to make sure I get the wording of this right. This is a motion of desirability. This is now going to kick off the formal clause by clause process. So I want to put to the committee the motion of desirability, the Western Cape Public Library Services Bill, B1 2025, that in the opinion of the committee, legislation is desirable to regulate the provision of public library services in the Western Cape, to provide for the coordination of responsibilities for public libraries services, to provide for the registration of public libraries, to make provision for the assignment to municipal councils of certain functions of the provincial minister in respect of public libraries, to determine the function of public library administrators, and to provide for matters incidental thereto, and that the bill referred to the committee be taken as a basis. So, colleagues, I'm submitting it. Do I have a mover for the motion? Member van Minnen?
I'll move the motion.
Can I have a seconder for the motion?
Second, the Chair.
Member Kaiser Philander then seconds. So now, this is now where I need to get the wording right. Now we're going to go through the clauses again, and we're going to consider whether there's any formal amendments there. So if I go, and this, you must just correct me whether I'm procedurally correct, the long title of the bill. Sorry, yeah, the long title of the bill.
Chair, we start with clause 1. The long title, we put it last.
Last. Okay, so we do it last. Right, so clause 1, in terms of definitions, any proposed amendments by members from the committee? I see no hands. Right, we're going to go to clause. You move it. Yeah. So I'm putting it to the committee, clause 1, for your consideration. Can I have a mover?
I so move, Chairperson. Member Boyson.
Can I have a seconder of clause 1? Member van Minnen?
I'll second.
All agreed? I see no hands online. Then clause 2, I would like to formally put table clause 2 to the committee.
Member Boyson, I so move, Chairperson.
Any seconders?
Second.
I don't see any other hands. I don't see any online hands. Then clause 3, I would like to formally table to the committee consideration.
I so move, Chairperson.
The second.
Anyone online? I don't see any hands there. Then clause 4, I would like to formally table clause 4. Any movers?
I'll move it.
Any seconders?
I second, Chair.
Okay. I see no other hands. Also see no other hands online. Then clause 5, I would like to formally table. Sorry. Any movers?
So move, Chairperson.
Any
I'll
seconders?
say second.
I see no other hands. I see no hands online. Then clause 6, I would like to formally table. Any movers?
I so move, Chairperson.
You're earning your keep today. It's
I'll say second.
okay. I see no other hands. I see no hands online. But we want 6, right? Okay. Clause 7, I would like to formally table.
I so move, Chairperson.
Any seconder?
I'll say second.
I don't see any other hands. See no hands online. Then clause 8, I would like to formally table.
I so move, Chair.
I'll say second.
See no other hands. Nothing online. Then clause 9, I would like to formally table. Any movers?
I move, Chairperson.
Any
I
seconders?
second.
Right, I see no other hands, no hands online. Clause 10, I would like to formally table.
I think I'm due for promotion by now, Chairperson. I so move.
I'll say second.
I see no other hands. I see no hands online. It's becoming a practice. It's like, okay, then clause 10, I would like to formally table. Any movers?
Chairperson.
Second.
I see no other hands. Clause 11. I'm actually worried that I've lost my sequence of numbers. I'm still fine. Okay. It's going faster than Parliament. It's okay. Clause 11, I would like to formally table.
I so move, Chair.
Now there's variety. As a seconder, anyone seconding?
I'll second.
The member van Minnen. Then clause 12, I would like to formally table.
I so
I
move,
so move,
Chairperson.
Chair.
Member Cousin Philander is going to win this. It's,
Ladies first, ladies first.
yeah, can I have any seconders?
I second, Chair.
All right. We were on 12 and clause 13. This is where I read the entire short title from my understanding. So I would like to formally table the clause 13, short title and commencement. And I want to read the full clause. 13, this act is called the Western Cape Public Library Services Act 2025 and comes into operation on a date determined by the Premier by proclamation in the Provincial Gazette. Formally tabling that. Any proposers of the motion?
I propose, Chairperson.
I'll second.
Okay, I see no other hands. Colleagues, now again, I'm just checking with my procedural people. I'm hoping to get full marks myself after this meeting. I'm now going to go to the long title. The long title is at the beginning of the bill in bold. And I would like to also table that for. Say again. And I'm a little bit fluey, so it's but luckily I don't have to read it out, so I will be able to do it in one breath. The long title I would also like to table for consideration by the committee. Can I have a proposer?
I propose a long breath, Chairperson.
I second.
Okay, second. Now, colleagues, I still want to check whether I'm doing it correctly. The entire bill, I would like to table for adoption by the committee. Can I have a mover?
I so move, Chair.
Member Kaiser Philander moved. Can I have a seconder?
I second, Chair.
I don't see any other hands. I was looking at you, trying to encourage you to but colleagues, so then the next step would be the report. Now, I'm going to read the pro forma report, and this is, we need to obviously as a committee adopt the report as well. You have it there for everyone to see. Then the report of the Standing Committee on Police Oversight, Community Safety, Cultural Affairs and Sport on the Western Cape Public Library Services Bill, B1 of 2025, dated 15 May 2025. The Standing Committee on Police Oversight, Community Safety, Cultural Affairs and Sport, having considered the subject of the Western Cape Public Library Services Bill, B1 of 2025, referred to it in terms of Standing Rule 171, begs to report the bill. And we have made no amendments to the bill, so that would be the report. Then in terms of Standing Rule 90, sorry. No, I don't have to read it. Are there any ones who are not or exercising the right not to support the bill? Any of the committee members?
Support, Chairperson.
I see no other hands. So, proposer, we did that.
Propose, Chairperson.
Can I have a seconder? Okay. Now, I just want to check, does that bring us to the conclusion of the library bill? It's a little bit of an anticlimax, I must be honest. It's a, but now we need to because it's quite an important issue and it feels a bit mundane. Colleagues, there are in the public comments that we received, and you will recall in the public hearings there were quite a number of often very localized concerns, not necessarily always matters that were relevant to the bill itself, but nevertheless there were very rich and important contributions made. So we are also going to, let me just get my agenda back to the original agenda here. We are, as a committee, we are now going to consider actions or recommendations of any of the other committee work, also including anything else we want to say in terms of the public hearings we had. But the formal part in terms of the bill has been concluded. So you're welcome to watch us, do the committee work we do as members of the public and stare at us in wonder. But you're more than welcome to leave now. I'm sure you have other things to do, so you are released by the committee. Right.
I mean, if it helps, I can ceremoniously burn my Kindle, if that gives you a high point for the library's bills.
Yeah, no, colleagues, it was actually a very, even if it was uncontroversial and mundane, it was a highly important bill. And I really think from my perspective, everyone concerned, from committee members to the department, I think it was, I think, one of those good things where everyone did the right thing, the good things. So I want to thank everyone concerned. I would suggest that we stop for a cup of coffee. That we also, if you're welcome to join us outside, and we'll come back to conclude the rest of the committee's business. Thanks. Remember, we often look at you to drag out our meetings, but now we're earlier than we are. And it's fine. We'll wait until then. Right, colleagues, so I'm declaring the I didn't want that on the microphone, this comrade thing. Right, just to get back to the formal part of the meeting. Colleagues, let me we are currently now at actions, recommendations, or any other committee work that we have to do as a committee. So there's a couple of things just from my side. The Western Cape Liquor Authority, the board, the interviews around that is another matter that's on our plate and part of our responsibilities. If I can just ask our procedural officer to brief us on that, and then there's a couple of other matters. I'll open up for any other matters we want to discuss just now.
Thank you, Chair.
The one of the items that is on our program that's also fairly urgent is the Western Cape Liquor Authority interviews. You will remember there was a bit of an issue last year where we said as a committee, no, they have to follow the entire process. Well, we got homework to do in that regard. So perhaps if the procedural officer, if you can just brief us in that regard.
Thank you, Chairperson. Chair, the department, or rather ministry, forwarded the information of 3 candidates, and the committee needs to submit the shortlist. I think there are 2 vacancies, so it's 2 from 3. Normally, or previously, the previous committees did interviews on about 5 or 6 questions that were prepared beforehand. The interviews were both in person, and obviously during lockdown, the lockdown era, we had it virtually. So I would recommend to the committee that because the Liquor Authority Governing Board is now short of, I think it's 2 members, that the committee prioritizes filling those vacancies, or assisting the minister to fill the vacancies, so that the board can operate at full or better capacity. Yeah, it's entirely up to the committee. The process is not defined in terms of how the assessment is done, and I think members have become used to it this year. There's been so many short listings of things, and every committee has had a different approach maybe. So this again falls within the committee's decision how you want to go about doing this.
Okay, I have a couple of questions, but let me first give the committee members the opportunity. Any questions in regards to the vacancies? Member?
I think your presentation is incomplete. What do you want us to do? Right, based on process. And then two vacant positions, right? What is the profile of the current existing? Right. So the thinking should be what? Should be located within the context of the existing gap. You know, so that would be important. The profile of the existing, the expectations, etc., so that when we apply our thoughts, at least we're able to respond to identified gaps. Thanks.
Any other questions?
Sorry, presumably we have a list of applicants. How long is it currently?
So the department, and this falls in line with the previous question, the department is responsible for advertising and shortlisting. So they give us a list, or they give the committee a list, and then the committee, depending on the criteria, like in this case, there are 2 vacancies. Sometimes it's 1, sometimes it's an entire board. The committee will then make it shortlist and then send it to the minister from where they would appoint. There are 2 vacancies that need to be filled. Only 3 applications or nominations were received. So the department went through the entire advertising process and background checks and all those things. What I also recommend, and I omitted that earlier, is that the committee invites the department to brief the committee prior to interviews or shortlisting, so that you can understand which positions, whether these positions require specific skills or specific qualifications, and then you make your decision based on that.
Just okay, maybe do a follow-up first.
Can I also just ask, because I mean, we had this, it was the end of last year when they suddenly wanted us to extend the tenure of, I think it was the chair. Have they proceeded to follow the process they need in order to reappoint or to advertise to find a chair? And is this connected to that process in any way? And have they followed the procedures this time? So they're not going to end up coming at the last minute with a slightly irregular or ad hoc appointment process?
Thank you, Chair. Through you, last year's process, the request that we received was, I speak under correction, I think it was the 13th of August, and the term of office ended the 14th of August, and the committee who had at the time already had a meeting scheduled for the 15th of August, then made the decision that was made that they're not rubber stamping something. But by that time, the person had already been, his term of office had already ended. So I presume that they would have elected someone from within the existing board, because that was only for the extension of the term of office for the then chairperson, not to fill any vacancy. This is something new. There are vacancies, and these vacancies need to be filled. So obviously, from an operational point of view, the Liquor Authority Governing Board is minus a few members. Okay.
Yeah, that's my understanding as well. Just look, in terms of when this process needs to be concluded, what is the hard deadline that we have? Because I also don't want to just do a pro forma exercise without us applying our minds. We made it very clear early on with this type of thing, we don't rubber stamp. So what would be, how many meetings can we have, or how many committee meetings can we actually use to consider this? And just before you answer there as well, I agree with the inputs that were made. I don't think it's a case of just looking at CVs and making a decision. We need to have context. We need to have an understanding of the existing committee. We need to, as a committee, also apply our minds to, before we even look at individuals, what kind of individuals you want. I think also, and this is perhaps a bit ambitious, but we like to be ambitious. We also need to cast our mind to what the liquor authority, what they can contribute towards. We'll remember some of the conversations we had in the committee. What can they contribute towards, particularly crime prevention? Those are all factors, things that we discussed in the committee that we need to pull together. So I would suggest, Member van Minden, I think your approach that you took in the Premier Constitutional Development Committee, I think is maybe a very good approach to take as well. I think we need to have a discussion that as to what is required of the Liquor Authority in the committee's view, what kind of people we need to look, obviously the statutory components of what's required there, but what kind of people we want to look at. And we need to look at past questions, the past interview questions, as well as a backdrop. And then we need to look at the three candidates and apply our minds accordingly. But I think it would be good if we as a committee have a shared picture of what we are looking for. So that obviously might take a bit of time, not a lot of time, but I think it all depends on when this needs to happen.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, in the correspondence from the Minister, the Speaker, that led to the referral of the matter to the committee, there is no deadline given in the correspondence. I requested from the department, precisely that, is there a deadline? And the response was just that there are 2 vacancies and there's an urgency to fill it. So I can go back and ask them for something more specific, because I don't know what the deadline is, just that there's a gap and they need to fill it as soon as possible. But the committee is not being defined in terms of a deadline in any of the formal correspondence to date.
Okay, so it's urgent, but it doesn't sound like we are not going to be bringing an institution down if we apply our minds properly. It's not a crisis. It's urgent in the sense that we don't want to sit on it forever, but it's not a, we're not going to bring down the entire liquor system in the Western Cape if we don't apply our minds, if we don't take the appropriate amount of time, as the expression goes, as fast as possible and as slowly as necessary. Okay. So my suggestion would be, and I'm going to have a look at also our member van Minen's committee dealt with it, because I thought that was a very good approach. Our first approach, I would suggest then at the next committee meeting we have a discussion. Member Glensu, I think it's also. I think it ties in with what you suggested. We first have a conversation of where the Liquor Authority currently is, do a bit of an analysis in the committee of, let's have a look at it. Let's look at the current membership. Let's look at the what impressions we glean from it. What do we want to see from a Liquor Authority going forward as a committee? And then I think we can dive down into comparing it to the questions that were asked in the past. We can develop a pro forma set of questions that we can use in the interview. I think then we'll have a shared idea amongst one another as to what we're looking for and why we are looking for it. Then we do the interviews. Colleagues, does that sound like a good way forward? Any other inputs? I think that's part of us understanding where the Liquor Authority is. So I think a briefing should be part of it. Our discussion we can do afterwards, but I think a briefing by the department would be good. Member?
Yeah. Thank you very much, Chair. I think you are posing that within the context of the existing vacancies, so that our response can also be informed by understanding. I am thinking, I don't recall us having a conversation with the Liquor Authority at a strategic level. You are posing a question to understand the state of the Liquor Authority, maybe beyond seeking to address the existing 2 vacancies, to have a sense of the state of the Liquor Authority, their plans. I think we should invite the Liquor Authority to appear before the committee. Invitations of entities should not be issue-based. That there must be this and that controversial problem for us to interface with them, so that even when you go to other related, at least we have a sense that don't wait for particular periods for them to account, but in between, it will have a focus abroad and a focus interface with them. So that's what I would propose, that we consider inviting them.
Colleagues, there's a proposal.
Chairperson, I slightly differ with Member Ngensu in the sense that when we invite the department, they need to come prepared here. Because otherwise we're going to send them back. They're going to tell us that they were not ready for this question. They didn't bring their files and whatever. So based on the suggestion is good, but we need to give them what are we expecting? What would the engagement be all about? So then we can then add that and deal with what type of warm bodies we need for those 2 vacancies.
Yeah, I think we're fine tuning the proposal is that we have the department and we have the Liquor Authority here. That the Liquor Authority, remember, if I misrepresent what you're saying, you must just point it out to me. But essentially, it boils down to they must tell us what their strategy is as the Liquor Authority, so that we know what they intend to do. So so we invite the department, we invite the liquor authority there. The part of the invitation to them is that we would like to see for the remainder of the term what their strategy is as the liquor, what the issues are they're facing, what their strategy to address it. That in the department, they're here to make the inputs as well. Then we have in a position to have a better informed discussion as to what, well, we don't necessarily have to completely agree with what's being presented either, but we'll be in a better position then to consider people in terms of who's going to make the best possible contribution. And we're not going to just look blindly at 3 people. You know, that's the real thing. We want to have an informed discussion. Colleagues, it sounds like we're on the a member going to.
You know, when you listen to respond, that's what happens, right? Listen to respond from a particular point of view that I must disagree. I think you have synthesized my point and what was termed as a disagreement, which is not a disagreement where I said, remember boys, do not disagree with me. Instead, he further narrowed the scope of the issues we should look at, and that's your best way of synthesizing, how you have synthesized this particular approach. That essentially we are inviting them, you know, to present as per your summary. Siyavumelana, Mpinga.
This is how political debate should be, because we actually feed off one another. But look, as long as we understand that it's based on the free market of ideas, that this okay now, how easy. So we invite the liquor authority, we invite I'll assist with the drafting of the letter, obviously, that we want to understand what they want to do, what they envisage doing. It gives us background information. We'll have our discussion as the committee. And we will also then afterwards consider exactly what questions we as a committee would like to ask them. I think that part of the committee meeting, we must just get advice on that. I don't want to give people the questions beforehand if it's a public part. Or alternatively, we can take the approach to say it's public, what questions they're going to be getting, and they can all compete on who answers it the best in the interviews. But we can make that judgment call when we get there. But there is a part that potentially is going to be confidential, the deliberation on exactly what questions we will be asking in the interview. Colleagues, does that make sense? Right, and then in terms of actions and recommendations of any other committee work, colleagues, our program is being, it's filling up, as you would have noticed, a lot with the budgetary issues. It filled up with the bill that we just finalized. It also, we have this particular liquor authority thing coming, but I really want to get us back onto our oversight program as well, get out there and visiting people. I think we're all politicians who actually like the people out there. We would like to do that as well. So I think in the next committee meeting as well, we have our draft program that potentially was overambitious at the time that we drafted it. There were some inputs made as well in terms of some potential additions. So I would suggest that that's also an item on the agenda of our next meeting. And then from there onwards, we look at our oversight visits, rolling that out as well. Let's get to that as soon as we can. Thank you very much, Advocate Master. Okay, thanks. Right, colleagues, anything else from the committee in terms of any other actions and recommendations?
I think you've covered as chairperson, especially with the program for the oversights going forward.
Colleagues, that then brings us to the end of the meeting. Thank you very much. Meeting is closed.
Thank you, Chair.